Good afternoon. It's Rob Hendin here from CBS News Washington Bureau. I'm joined by Chief White House Correspondent for CBS News, Chip Reid. Chip, you just came out of a briefing with the White House on Libya. Tell me, what's the latest from over there?
Well, I'd say the number one point that Jay Carney made is that they are still on track, they believe, to hand over authority, the lead on this mission in Libya, not in weeks, but in days. And Jay said that basically weeks is 2 weeks at the least. And we're so far about 5 days into it, so he said he implied pretty strongly that in about another week, maybe 8 to 9 days, it's going to happen, and they certainly hope it happens sooner than that.
This is a military action that they continually say is just to protect civilians, but is there a contradiction that, as Speaker Boehner pointed out, the White House has also said they want regime change in Libya, and this action doesn't seem to go to that?
That was really the key question that Speaker Boehner asked in his letter full of questions to the president. On the one hand, it is Obama administration policy for Gaddafi to go, but on the other hand, this military mission right now does not have that as a stated objective, and I think there are two reasons for that. Number one, if the UN and NATO military mission, if this coalition had to agree to remove Gaddafi from power, they would not have gotten UN approval. China, Russia, some of the Gulf states would have objected to explicitly saying that the goal here is to militarily remove Gaddafi from power. And the other reason is that the president has said all along in the so-called Obama doctrine, one of the key points is that it is not up to the United States, it's up to the people of the country that they're dealing with to decide who the leader should be. So what the president wants to do here with this coalition is set the conditions, create conditions whereby the Libyan people can decide for Gaddafi to go, and he would like to see them do that, but it's not up to the United States or the coalition to militarily force him from power.
A military action to force him from power would sound like a war, and while we do have quite a number of military assets at play in the region, including all those cruise missiles, I mean, is the White House saying that this is a war?
No, they really are avoiding the use of that word. Ben Rhodes, the spokesman for the National Security Council, was asked yesterday on Air Force One, and Jay Carney was just asked again, and they both are defining it as a limited military action, limited both in duration and scope. They don't want to get into calling this a war, because that, of course, would require congressional approval.
Mm-hmm. You know, this action was launched while the president was in Brazil. You and I just came back from this trip of 3 countries in 5 days. How do you think the White House handled leading this military action, starting off this conflict in a way, while the president was trying to be on an economics trip in South America?
Well, it's tough, and he did address it. He did create a couple of opportunities to be asked about it, and he did, but I tell you, it still, I think, makes people feel a little uncomfortable that the president is announcing military action on foreign soil. Can he do whatever he needs to do out on the road that he can do here in Washington? Probably, but I think it's just the symbolic aspect. I think it still leaves people a little bit queasy that he's announcing a military operation when he's not here in Washington.
Yeah, some of the conflict, the criticism of that is really that does he have his eye on the ball? Is Libya where he should be focused? Yet he was in Brazil and Chile and El Salvador.
And one of their responses to that is that as important as Libya is, and as important as Japan is, and Egypt and Tunisia and Yemen and everything else that's going on, his number one priority still is jobs, and that's what this trip to South and Central America was about.
And the White House was also seemingly adamant that they were not going to cancel this trip or even really cut it short. They did move some of the sightseeing events around, so some of those happened after the evening news was on. But in the end, did they come back quickly because of Libya? Did they cut the trip short?
It's so funny, I tell you, they absolutely deny that they cut this trip short for the president to come back and deal with Libya. It's a little unclear why they won't just say, yes, that's a factor. I asked one senior official, was it at least a partial factor in deciding to come back early? They say absolutely not. And of course, all of us in the press room were very suspicious that the real reason they came back early was to cancel a tour of the Mayan ruins that they were Mayan. Do I have that right? Yep. Mayan ruins that they were going to do. He was going to do with his family, and that the last thing they wanted was photos that made it look like he was on vacation during this Libyan military operation, but they categorically deny that wanting to avoid those photos had anything to do with him coming back early and canceling that tour.
Well, he may be the only American to ever go to Rio and not see the beach, too. So.
That's right.
Chip Reid, thank you very much. We'll let you get back to work. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.